A long time ago. I don't even remember when. The phone itself doesn't work anymore. I can't hear anybody talking. The case costs more than the phone itself, and I don't want to buy a new case. It's paid off, and there's no contract. My phone is good enough. It's not the greatest phone, but it's my phone.
All right, welcome to Lunch Therapy. I'm here with Boney, my assistant. This is Lunch Therapy Interview Friday. Today I've got a great guest. I've got Rosie Tran on the show today. She is the host and producer and creator of Rosie Tran Presents on Amazon Prime. Check it out. She gets great comedians on there. They do stand-up and they do interviews. And Boney, are you paying? I don't know what's going on with Boney. He's tripping as usual. Hoy, Camila Lopez is here. Hoy, welcome to Lunch Therapy Interview Friday. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 Thanks, Jenny. Jenny loves the My Phone promo. Yep, that's one of our sponsors, My Phone. Doesn't really work, but it's My Phone and it's paid off. So that's all that matters. Howard Ronan is here. Boney is the coolest skeleton. Definitely the coolest skeleton. I've noticed there's a lot of sidekick skeletons out there, but Boney is the coolest. Hoy, Claster Fan is here. Hoy. Hey, I realized Claster Fan means this company called Claster, right? And they do like Transformers and stuff like that. Is that right, Claster Fan? I've got some stand-up happening on Tuesday. It's the famous D's Nuts show. I'm going to be in there with all kinds of funny comedians. And it's at the Three Clubs, which is one of my favorite venues here in Los Angeles. Yes, Claster Television. We've got several conversations going on here, which is great. Behind me is a guy that I saw at the beach doing lunges. That's just a little inspiration for y'all. He's in super good shape. He's not looking at the water or the sand or anything. He's looking at his phone, which I find kind of unusual to be at the beach in all that freedom and be staring at your phone while doing lunges. But bringing it to you here on Lunch Therapy, warm nuts. Yum. Yum. It was a distributor of many kids shows, Claster Fan. So Rob Wood is his actual name, but he goes by Claster Fan because it's the internet and it's anonymous, and we want to be anonymous so we can say horrible things, I guess, which Claster Fan never says. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? All right, so I want to say thank you to all the Patreons out there. This show could not happen without all the support, love, and support that happens through the Patreon system and outside of the Patreon system. Sometimes people just slip me cash when they see me. They're like, here, this is for your show. That doesn't really happen, but I'm just encouraging it in case that, you get that idea. Jay Patterson is my co-host on Tuesdays. We do a game show. We give away $15. Last week, we gave away $45 because the pot had rolled over for 3 episodes and we gave it away. We gave it all away. That's what we do here. We give it away. Daniel Muchler, he wins the contest a lot. He's a Patreon as well. Mary Marks, thanks so much for being here. And thanks so much for supporting independent media like this. I didn't mean to say that Claster fan was saying horrible things, because people on lunch therapy never say horrible things. But we do breathe. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the toes. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Behind me is the amazing Tibetan vibrations. They do sound baths. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. One more time. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. I love it when the guest participates in the breathing. I see Rosie's in the green room there with Boney. Boney's even doing it. He's inspired by Rosie, so I love it. This is something we started doing when the show began. Every episode we did 3 deep breaths. It helps calm me down, at least. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I do that before I go on stage as well. Maybe Rosie does. I don't know. Let's get into this thing. You know, Rosie wrote a book on meditation, by the way. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised she's in the green room breathing. All right, it's Interview Friday. Interview Friday. I want to thank Meryl Clemow for getting us this guest today. She told me about Rosie, and I went on a deep dive, found out all kinds of things about Rosie. She's a powerhouse comedian. She's a producer. She grew up in New Orleans. Am I saying that right? New Orleans. Daughter of a Vietnamese couple. Her dad was a published author. Her mom was a former Miss Saigon who owned a nail salon. She was a straight-A student who had never heard of stand-up comedy. I don't know if she'd never heard of it. But she started tagging along on open mics with her high school boyfriend. They broke up, but she kept going with the comedy thing. The guy didn't stick, but the comedy did. She's trained under Gary Austin at the Groundlings, studied with Paul Sills, the legendary Paul Sills, founder of the original Second City, and also the Compass Players, which was pre-Second City. She toured for the USO in Iraq and Kuwait. She was a finalist on NBC's Last Comic Standing. She released a Peacock comedy special, Hanoi Honey. She hosts her own Amazon Prime series, which is called Rosie Tran Presents. You're going to have to check that one out. She also has a podcast, Out of the Box, which has featured Nobel Prize nominees, politicians, and comedians. And she's one of Ranker's top 200 comedians in the country. There you go. On Lunch Therapy today for your listening pleasure, viewing pleasure. All right, let's get into this thing.
Never seen a Vietnamese chick hold a microphone outside a karaoke night. You know, karaoke and Hello Kitty, that's like crack to little Asian girls. Pachaco! I need you in my life. I am Vietnamese. I try to represent for my people when I'm up here. I don't want to be a negative stereotype. It's tough. I'm not lying to you guys when I tell you guys my mom had a nail salon for 15 years. I do nail for you! Does anyone have a cheese grater and a gas mask I can borrow? My dad was an engineer. He's really, really good at math. And I just got into 3 car accidents in the past 6 months. What's up? Buckle up, bitches. Asian driver.
Buckle up, bitches. Rosie Tran, welcome to Lunch
Joel,
Therapy.
how are
I'm
you?
doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good, but I have something for you that you might not be happy about.
Uh-oh, tell me.
So, it means
Oh, you're kidding me.
it,
What's it
it means
mean?
do
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know.
it means that something's very stinky.
My God. Wow. Well, it is sometimes stinky around here. Holy, we've been saying that for 6 years. Actually, let me tell you, I've been saying this my entire life. Somewhere in high school, a friend of mine, we used to have a club called Myth Club, and we try and do things that made no sense. And one of the things that we did was we'd take our hand and go, holy, and put our hand in it because it made no sense. And I don't know where we got the word, but maybe our hands were stinky. I don't know. Maybe that's it.
You have to say it with a little bit of an accent to make it's hoy, hoy.
Hoy, hoy,
It
hoy.
means something like smells really bad.
That's hilarious. I bet we should do a study of like what holy means in different languages because I think somewhere it's a greeting, somewhere in like
I'm just like, is he saying hoy?
Norway or
I'm like,
something.
does he know?
Hoy. And then of course in Spanish it means today, I guess, right? Except it's HOY. And wow, it's a deep dive. I'm going to
Deep
do
dive.
that. I'm going to do that some Tuesday or something. I'm going to go all the origins of all the meanings of hoy. Some people are named Hoy, I've noticed, but they're obviously not from Vietnam.
Maybe someone would name their kid Stinky Kid.
Yeah, maybe. So your parents were from Vietnam? Is that both of them?
Yes, my dad was from North Vietnam, but he ended up working with the U.S. government for the South Vietnamese military. Um, and my mother was Miss Saigon, as you mentioned in
She
the
was
intro.
Miss Saigon. Tell us about that.
Yeah, actually, there was an exhibit about her in New Orleans. There's a museum in New Orleans called the Historic New Orleans Collection, and they did a 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon last year. And she was featured in the exhibit, and they featured her trophy and had photos of her winning her beauty pageant and a little historical narrative thing talking about her, which was really cool.
Wow. And is that how she met your dad? Was he a judge at the Miss
No,
Saigon contest? Donald Trump
they
style. He's in the dressing room.
they met in Washington D.C. at a party for immigrants, newly
Cool.
Immigrated Vietnamese immigrants.
Wow. And were your parents both stand-up comedians, of course?
No, so
No?
when you were doing my intro and you said I didn't know what stand-up comedy was, that's true. I
Really?
didn't
I
know.
was like,
I
that
didn't.
can't be true.
Yeah, no, stand-up comedy is a very American art form. A lot of people don't realize that.
Mhm.
Um, the history of it is, I'm sure there was funny people before Mark Twain, but Mark
Yeah.
Twain is allegedly the first stand-up comedian. He would go around and tell these humorous stories and things like that. And obviously the roots of it is in, Greek drama and comedy. There's funny people, but to just stand up there and talk and be funny, that's something that's uniquely American because of freedom of speech. You can talk in a
Well,
lot
we
of
used to
countries.
have it. We used to have it. I don't know about now.
Well, in the past, when you would stand up and speak in other countries, you're a plebe, you get killed, you get,
Yeah.
kidnapped, you get put down. So stand up comedy is a very American,
The only place I feel like
a
I have
very
free
American
speech
art.
anymore is the Hollywood comedy or
Okay.
the fourth wall. That's the only place where I feel like I've got free speech.
Not on Lunch Therapy Podcast?
Lunch therapy. I don't know. We don't know who's out there. Could say something. They could take a clip from it and take it out of context. I don't know.
Even on your own podcast,
My
you
own
don't feel you have
podcast.
freedom of
That's
speech?
the way the world. I don't know. That's the way the United States is now. But I do. I like to slip out innuendos, little bits, without saying something overtly. Although sometimes I just say things overtly, like "fuck ice." Excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to the march this weekend. Are you going to the march?
I do not. I
The
do
No
not go to
Kings March?
marches.
You don't
I
go to
refuse.
marches?
I don't
I
go
thought
to
you were
any.
like an activist.
I do not. I refuse to go to any. So one of my friends was at a protest in Europe and got hit in the head with a Molotov cocktail.
Oh shit.
And I will donate money to causes that I'm super passionate about, which
Mhm.
has been studied, and it goes further than physical marching. And I'm not getting punched in the face. I don't want a cop to elbow me.
Everybody does what they can, what they can.
This is the moneymaker. I don't need, LAPD smashing me in the face with a baseball bat.
It's weird because, I mean, at least the ones I've been to so far have been extremely peaceful. And then I go home and I watch it on the news and there's like stuff on fire and people throwing things. And it always
You were in the peaceful corner.
I guess I was in the peaceful corner. I think I got there early. I was in the early times.
The Lakers won a couple years ago and there was a riot. So
really? Yeah. You don't know. You don't know where there's going to be a riot.
Protesters or sports fans, who knows? But yeah, I'm not getting guaranteed no face punching.
Guaranteed.
You don't, that's not a guarantee. There large groups of people can evolve one way or the other. So
well, I'll go there and take the punch in the face, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know if this thing's making any money.
I did have to say I saw Ginny Sykes in your comments. Hi, Ginny.
She says that perhaps I'm in the coward's corner. Probably. I'm there with my latte, No kidding.
So Ginny Sykes was in my TV pilot.
Oh, she was?
She was.
Tell us about that.
Hi, Ginny.
Oh, look, your comedy minute. Scott's
it's Scott.
Here
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
So Ginny Sykes was in a television pilot I co-produced with Aiden Park called A Brand New Yay.
And we love Aiden Park.
Yes, and it was actually picked up for one episode on Chime TV, which is now Golden TV. They merged, and Ginny was on it, and we loved her. She was awesome. She played herself.
How did I miss that? Is there a way I can see that?
Yes, I will send you a link to the trailer. I don't think we have the full episode up because it was probably under NDA or something to be only broadcast. But I can send you the link. And Ginny played herself.
Probably said something horrible on. They were like,
"No, she played herself. She was a lovely, supportive." We can't
release this without an NDA.
So hi, Ginny.
Hi, Ginny.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, Scott. Were you on your comedy minute?
I was on your comedy minute, and Scott was so sweet and posted it on Reddit, and I just responded. I just started a Reddit. I know Reddit's been around for like 20 years, but I just started a Reddit. I had an anonymous Reddit before, not like an official Reddit.
Yeah. You were hiding behind a moniker, like Cluster Fan.
Well, because I wanted to ask like anonymous questions and not have people know it was me.
Oh, you wanted to question. I see. Yeah.
But now I have an official one, so it's officially me. I just started it like 2 days ago, so I have 0 followers.
God, that's great. That's the best time. That's the best time when you have 0 followers. Because after that, you're beholden to people. Now you don't have to worry about anybody. But you're like a prolific producer. I do want to get into the story about you're in high school. Was it high school your boyfriend is doing stand-up? And I don't want to diss on your boyfriend.
Yes, it was. I was in high school. There was a comedy festival in New Orleans called the New Orleans Comedy Festival. Yeah. And he was performing, and I was following him around.
Yeah.
And Joel, I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible. I told him to quit stand-up comedy.
You were just I heard you were sitting in the back with like your arms crossed going, I hate this. They're terrible.
I was a hater. I'm sorry, comedians.
Oh my God, there's got to be some karma there. Did you get karma from that?
I was like, how are you ever going to make money doing stand-up? This is stupid. You should become a screenwriter. I was terrible, Joel.
Well, we were all terrible in high school. When I think about the things I did in high school, not that they were horrific, but they were just sometimes, you don't have perspective on the whole life cycle.
I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
You didn't even know what it was. You're like, what are you doing up there saying stupid things?
I was like, this is dumb. I just thought I was bad. I'm sorry. I was an unsupportive girlfriend.
It's funny. But then you were like, I can do this.
Well, I started to write material for him a little bit. I was like, well, why don't you say, not writing jokes. Yeah. I want to be clear. I wasn't writing jokes for him, but I would say, well, what if you say it like this? What if you say it like this? And he would do it and he would get a laugh.
Oh, so you're good.
So somebody told me that was the plot of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I haven't seen that show, but
that is the plot of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Are you sure you're not making this up? Yeah.
I'm not making this up. I started comedy in the late 90s, early 2000s. So whoever wrote Marvelous Mrs. Maisel stole the idea from me somehow.
Yes. I think maybe if there's an interview with you out there where you say this, I think you got a case. I think
usually in TV shows at the very, very end of the credits, they have this language that says this is a fictional show. Any,
Yeah,
you
you don't
know,
have a leg to stand on. You got nothing.
any, semblance to a real life person is pure coincidence, blah, 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 blah. That's
Yeah.
like a legal disclaimer at the end of every show.
Yeah. So did you?
Because, oh, sorry.
What? Well,
Well, because I was going to say there was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm about a character named Yoshi who does stand-up comedy. And my friend is a comedian who is named Yoshi who does stand-up comedy. And Larry David found out about it and called him and said, and yelled at him and was like, this episode is not based on you. I've never met you. I've never heard of you.
did he claim? Did Yoshi go, "Hey, he stole my life"?
He did not. He didn't
and
even
he
know about
still
the
got a
episode
call from Larry David.
because he's a comedian and obviously Larry David is a stand-up comedian. People came up to Larry David and said, there's a real comedian named Yoshi.
And he's complaining about you.
He wasn't complaining about him. Yoshi.
That's why would Larry David yell at him? It's like,
so Larry David allegedly, I believe him, called him and started yelling at him. But there's
really
an
funny.
episode about a comedian named Yoshi. I haven't seen all the episodes of Curb, but
yeah,
that's a stand-up comedian.
funny show.
Yeah.
Chuck Goldsmith says he got heckled by the comics. Wow. Meryl is here. Meryl Clemmow. Thanks, Meryl, for getting Rosie
Hi,
on
Meryl.
the show. Rosie and Joel Ruley. Hi, Scott. Ginny, stop causing drama. Let's see what Matt says. I love the logic. You'll never make a living in stand-up. You should be a screenwriter. Yeah.
I was 17.
So much easier. So much easier. That's hilarious. What made you come out to Los Angeles? Were you in New Orleans doing stand-up and then you went to Los Angeles or what?
No, so then we moved here together. We were still together at the time.
You and your high school guy moved out here?
Yeah. My high school sweetheart, we were out here and he was trying to be a screenwriter. So the screenwriter thing.
Oh, he really started doing it. He's like, well, I guess you're right.
So the screenwriter thing, I lost the name of the person who just made the comment.
Oh, Matt.
Hi, Matt. Was actually a legitimate career path for him because his uncle was a famous screenwriter who was like super rich.
That seems like a really good idea then. Maybe you were smart.
Yeah. So I was like, why don't you follow your uncle who's like friends with Steven Spielberg and like become a screenwriter and not do stand up.
That's just smart.
Stand up stuff. So
you're the daughter of immigrants, so you do logical things.
I was like, go make money. So,
practical things.
So we broke up and I didn't know anyone in Los Angeles. I was here by myself with him basically. And my only social circle at that point was going to mics with him. So I was like, oh, I kind of miss the mics.
Yeah. That's cool. So you guys broke up and you stayed and you kept doing comedy. And did you kind of had a fast rise in comedy. Somewhere I read that you attributed that to the fact that you didn't have any role models. And that you were just you were just working on like what is funny?
So, Joel, my whole career has based on the fact that I was completely ignorant and delusional.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about stand-up. I didn't know what stand-up was. I remember I was like 5 or 6 years into stand-up and somebody was talking about Eddie Murphy Raw, right? So there's like certain comedians that people talk about when you start doing stand-up, right? Like, Dane Cook or Eddie Murphy. This is back in the day, in the early 2000s, when it was more bro comedy, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they started talking about Richard Pryor and George Carlin. And I was like, I don't know who those people are. I don't know what you're talking about. And
stop talking. Did you say stop talking? Go write a screenplay.
I did not. But I didn't know who they were. I didn't know, like I meet so many comics, especially older comics, and they're like, oh, I used to watch Carson, every night, or I used to watch Jay Leno every night and like write jokes. And I'm like, what is that? What are you talking about?
That's hilarious.
So I actually there was a series called, oh man, I'm blanking on it. This is my middle-aged brain. There was a series, it was like up and coming comics or HBO's like top comics or whatever. And I watched it. And I don't know if you've ever watched old stand-up, Joel, but the comedians are terrible. They're really bad because comedy.
Now, are you talking about like the 80s or are you talking about?
Everything. Pre, it's
wow,
really
that's a
bad.
bold statement. That's a bold statement.
Stand
Have you
behind
ever watched classic comedy? They're terrible.
They're horrible. And I'll tell you why,
Okay,
Joel.
tell me why. I want to know why. Yeah.
Because comedy doesn't really translate. You watch Tim the Toolman Taylor and you watch, Jim Carrey just throwing his arm like this the entire act. Like there's no jokes whatsoever.
Yes, but he had to do a lot of work before he threw that arm.
He's like just throwing his hand
He had to do a lot of things that didn't make people laugh. And then all of a sudden he did this and everybody laughed and he's like, I got it.
It's just really bad. And also things have evolved. So something
Have they though? Have they or have they devolved?
Yes, Joel. So something that seems really, really edgy in 1980 is like a hack in the 2000s. So it's just really, really, really bad.
Interesting.
Bad. The only comedian who was funny was Caroline Rhea, because she did relationship material and that's timeless.
Oh, so you're saying that they were not connecting with people's regular lives. They just had a bunch of jokes that were trashy.
I'm saying that when you do topical material 20 years later, it becomes insanely dated.
Oh, I see. Topical material. So okay. Yeah.
So Caroline Rhea her material is about relationships. So her material was timeless.
Yeah. I'm looking her up.
She was the mom, the aunt on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Yeah.
Is that her? I mean, I watched every episode.
That's her.
I watched every episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch for sure.
So she was a young comic on the series that I watched. I mean, this was in the 80s, like I said, and her material still was funny today.
You're talking about George Carlin and people like that? You think they're terrible comics?
He wasn't. George Carlin's wonderful. He wasn't on the series that I watched.
Okay. So this was like a series like...
It was like HBO up and coming comics or something like that. Louis Anderson was on it.
You didn't like Louis Anderson?
Hi, Scott.
Good point, Rosie. I like it. He's backing you up. Yeah.
George Carlin's material still translates.
Yeah.
I did watch his specials. His material did translate. What I'm saying is the majority of the comedians, go back and watch old comedians from the 80s, 90s. The material is, dated. I'm sorry to say, beyond god awful.
Okay. I like it. I like it. I like the bold statements on lunch therapy.
It's bold. I stand behind it.
I like it. I like it a lot. So, okay. So you made a jump from doing stand-up comedy around Los Angeles, which is, you could do that for the rest of your life, you know, just going around doing showcase shows. But you started producing. What made you start to do that?
Just getting exhausted from the LA comedy scene.
Yeah.
Yes, Scott, it does not hold up well. It's bad.
That's a good note too. If you want your stuff to last beyond your life.
You want to talk about your personal life. You want to talk about things that are timeless, relationships, you know. Like I said, George Carlin is one of the few comics that is timeless, because unfortunately some of the political stuff he was talking about back then is still relevant, which is sad.
That's what I think too. That's what I think. Sometimes you can talk about topical things, but if they're kind of universal topics, I mean, the topic themselves aren't universal. They're like particular to the time, but because history repeats itself over and over again, things like George Carlin resonate now, or Shakespeare or whatever, or Mark Twain can resonate now, even if he's talking about something during that time. You'd be like, oh, that's exactly what's happening.
But I mean,
now.
Things change. Like certain things that were edgy back then, you go back and they're extremely offensive. They're not funny anymore. You know, there's just certain jokes that they don't age well.
Yeah.
They just don't age well.
They don't age well.
You know, certain jokes about women, certain jokes about Black people that were hilarious at the time.
Yeah.
You're like, woo!
It's true. It's true. And I think that's something to be aware of. Jose says, Dennis Leary. Jenny says, I love this conversation. I do. I love this conversation too, because it's really, because you do that too, though. You say things that are sort of controversial sometimes in your set. Would you say that?
I would say that, so this is something that's very interesting as well.
Yeah.
So I started doing stand-up in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was never, ever, ever, ever considered a controversial or offensive comedian until the last 5 or 6 years.
And why do you think that is?
Because I think that, and this is something, I'm a very progressive person, but I do think we've gone a little bit too woke offensive, and I don't like that, because I've never. So
we get offended too easily.
I think audiences do get offended too easily, and I think that a lot of people who are good people are like scared of being perceived as not woke enough. Like, I'm from New Orleans, I'm from Louisiana. I performed in Ohio, I performed in Mississippi, and I've never felt any sort of resistance to me. And I do feel that now, especially in conservative areas. People are like scared to laugh at me. They see a woman, they see a minority, they see someone who's from Los Angeles, and they're like scared. They're like scared to laugh. Like, I don't think people understand that there's like this narrative. And I
Scared
think
to
if
laugh
you're
when you say things like what you said in the intro to the show, like about how your parents were.
I think they're scared that they're going to be made fun of. I think they're scared that there's this stereotype that everyone in middle America is like a dumb redneck. And they're like, it's just different, Joel. Like, I've performed in Mississippi for 20 years. I've never had people be like scared.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you're saying this. The people in Mississippi, because a lot of times comedians from like LA or that are, kind of liberal are afraid to go to
No,
the
I
South.
think it's the opposite.
But you're like, it's the opposite. They're afraid of me.
Yes.
They're afraid to offend me, is what you're saying.
They're afraid to come off as racist rednecks. They're scared of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
I've never experienced, I've been in Bodunk, Mississippi and performed and killed and had standing ovations. In the past 5 years, I have gone and performed. When they hear any type of liberal material from me, I feel buttholes pucker.
Well, I find this, and I sometimes say I'm woke, like when I do stand up, and I find that people are scared of that. Because and maybe this is in LA, where you go, I go, I'm woke. Anybody else out there woke? And nobody wants to say they're woke because woke is like a super negative thing. So it's like there's like both things going on. And maybe that has to do with the fact that
I think it's because we're hyperpolarized right now.
We're hyperpolarized. And
yeah.
both, and I don't want to say sides or whatever, but both extremes or something. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but people are scared in general.
I think people are scared. Like, they're scared in general. I obviously I do stand up in LA. I live in, I'm Silver Lake adjacent, so I'm in hipster central.
Yeah.
So I understand, and I have a lot of progressive values. I talk about, being, Roe versus Wade in my act. I'm becoming more political.
You do?
I do. Yeah. I have a lot of new material about a lot of political things, and it's very touch and go when I perform in the Midwest and the South, which I do a lot.
And so do you like get tours together and tour the country, or how do you generally, when you find yourself in other states, how do you do it?
Yeah. So right now it's just been me, but I'm trying to tour with Rosie Tran Presents, which hopefully will be in the next year.
Yeah.
So I want to bring diverse voices. I mean, that's what my show is about. It's bringing diverse voices. Aiden, who we mentioned, is on Rosie Tran Presents in the Bad Asians episode. And he talks about this all the time. He goes to the middle of Montana, the middle of Wyoming, and performs. And he's, a gay Korean, LGBTQ HIV positive. And they love him. And they come up to him and they say, wow, we need more voices like this. So people want diverse voices. They want to hear different perspectives. They want to be brought together. I don't think that people want to be divided and fighting at Thanksgiving. I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's true either. And I also think that if you can connect with people, that's the most important thing, regardless of who you are or where you come from. I find that sometimes, you can talk about political beliefs too that are very controversial, but as long as you have a point of view and you state the point of view and the audience understands your point of view, they can respect that, even if they don't agree with you.
I think if you have a strong point of view and it's well thought out and it's funny, people will listen.
It's funny. It's got to be funny.
It has to be funny. Yeah, I know comedians
it's got to be funny too.
I know comedians that have both points of view and they have to be funny. And I'll tell you, that's something I really do not like in stand-up. And I've been seeing it more and more and more, is people getting up there and saying a political point of view just to get an applause break, but there's no joke there.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I'll be at a show and I'll hear someone say, I hate Trump. And they're just doing it for the applause
That's all
break.
they say. Yeah.
And then they don't really have a joke.
Yeah. And that's when you're counting on the audience being on your side. But if you actually say, I hate Trump, and then you have a joke, funny joke, or you have some joke about it that illustrates the fact that you don't like Trump, people that like Trump are still going to laugh if it's funny.
They're
going to connect, and they're going to be like, oh, I'm observing this weird woke guy or whatever, and he's really funny or she's really funny. Instead of,
but it has to be funny.
It has to be funny. Otherwise, you're just attacking people.
you're just attacking people. And I've
Yeah.
seen that a lot lately in LA, and it's something that I really don't like, where comics will just say fuck Trump or fuck ICE or can
Yeah.
I say the F word on your
Yeah, I already said it.
okay. And they'll say whatever, and that's okay, but then they won't have a
They don't have a joke.
punchline.
Yeah.
And I just saw my friend Josh Spears, who's hilarious. He hosts the Dunbar show every Thursday, and he had this great joke where it was very, very political, but it had a great punchline. It had a great punchline.
This is the thing also, I think when comedians start out, they just start out by going up on stage and talking, right? And they don't necessarily understand how jokes are constructed. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of true, right?
You're being so kind about this, Joel. Yes.
And so you just end up people just ranting or people just wandering around talking, and they'll do it for years. They'll do it for years.
For years, yeah.
And they'll talk about like gross things that happen in their life and stuff like that. And you're just like, where? And you're wondering why you just feel terrible. And the reason you feel terrible is that there are no jokes. There are no jokes. Did you come to the idea, because you say that you didn't really have any role models. Did you come to the idea of the constructing of jokes? Because there are many different ways to construct a joke, but it has to have a punchline essentially, or it has to have some kind of surprise in it. How did you find that? Was it just through trial and error, or did you?
It was through trial and error, and I'm a really quick learner. My problem was the opposite, is that I was really good at joke writing, but I didn't really have anything to say. I mean, I was 19 years old, Joel. No, I know 19-year-old has anything to say.
They don't. They had nothing to say.
So I really didn't have anything to say. I knew how to construct a joke. For some reason, my brain worked like that, and that's why I think my ex-boyfriend, I was able to restructure his jokes. So I was really good at coming up with set up punchline, but I really didn't have a comedic voice. And I know people say that all the time. Oh, you need a comedic voice.
Yeah.
I'm 42 years old. I've been doing stand-up for over 24 years. I feel like I'm just getting my comedic voice. Like I'm kind of like embarrassed of my comedy special. I'm like, that's not really a strong comedic voice.
Yeah,
and
it takes time. It takes time.
It takes so long. And I did my special, and I had so much anxiety after I did it, Joel. I went through a 3-month mourning period.
Really? Because I mean, I was watching it and I was like, wow, she's so confident, you know?
Well, this is what happened. So I went through this 3-month mourning period because after I wrote that, I did the special, I had to let that material go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh boy, how am I going to come up with new material? You know, I've been doing some of these jokes for so long.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I have jokes about dating in that. And I'm like been married for 10 years, 10 years at that point, you know, I've been married for like 15 years now. Yeah. So I'm like, well, what am I going to talk about? Like, and my friend Lana Turner, she's Ralphie May's widow. She's a stand-up comedian for over 20 years as well. Hilarious national headliner. She told me that when she released her special, all this new material just came out of nowhere. And I was very cynical, Joel. I was like, you know, I've been doing some of these jokes for years. Like, I'm not going to just come up with all this new material all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. After I wrote the special, I went through like a 3-month mourning period, and I was really depressed. And I was like, how am I going to come up with all these new jokes? Like, I've been doing some of those jokes for years. And it's like I threw out the trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a big empty bucket for me to fill with new stuff.
You got to make space.
And as soon as I let that trash out the dumpster, not that my material was horrible, but I'm giving a metaphor, right? I threw all that stuff in the trash.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this creative part of my brain turned on, and all this new material started coming out of left field.
That's great. Well, it's weird because Louis C.K. talks about that. There's something, I'm not sure. Oh, I know what it is. It's the eulogy for George Carlin. If you haven't seen this is something that Dean Lewis, a comedian, told me about. But he does a eulogy for George Carlin, and he talks about that, how George Carlin every year would throw out his material and start anew. He'd do a special every year, and then he'd throw out his stuff and start over. And Louis C.K. started doing that. He was like, I've been doing my same hour for years and years and years. I'm just sick of it. And I'm going to just throw it out and just start over. And that was like the big and he started talking about his actual life. And I think he said something about like how he liked one of his kids and he didn't like the other one or something like that. And it resonated so much with the audience that he was like, it unlocked a whole new world for him. And that's when he started, becoming known.
Patton Oswalt did that. It was a whole new world. I started talking about really real stuff. I have jokes about my dad's death. I have jokes about, abortions. I have jokes about me being, domestic violence. And it was really hard at first. Like I wrote a whole 10 minutes on my dad's death. And I started doing it. And it was very uncomfortable. And when I mean very uncomfortable, I mean uncomfortable for everyone, even though I wrote punchlines into it, because I wasn't confident with it. It was so personal and so painful. And people are very uncomfortable with death. They're extremely uncomfortable with death. No one talks about it. And now I've been doing it for a few years now. He's been dead for 4 years. And it's so good. And I'm so confident about it, the material. And people will come up to me. I had a bartender come up to me at a show I did in Orange County, and she was crying. And she said, you know what, my mom died last month, and your material was so freaking funny. And it made me feel like, you know, it brought so much brevity and lightness to what just happened to me. She goes, I just got to give you a hug. And I never had people come up to me and give me a hug and tell me that I moved them before, when I was just doing dick jokes and talking about dating and talking about all this.
Yeah, there's a change, right? There's a change
when
people start coming up to you after the show and start talking to you about your material, rather than, oh, you were funny. But they actually say something specific. This connected with me. They're
like, wow. And I don't
really
get the whole audience anymore. Like, I used to have a more broad range. Like, I would do my material and I would get really big laughs. And now I don't get as big laughs, but I get people coming up to me being like, you moved me.
Wow.
So I prefer that.
So on your show, which is on Amazon, it's called Rosie Tran Presents. It's 10 episodes. It's 10
episodes.
10 episodes, right?
It's 2 comics an episode, and I bring diverse voices from all over.
And is this part of that whole thought of like presenting comedians that are connecting with people in particular ways or unique ways? Or what was the premise for this, and how did it start? Did your podcast lead into this? What happened?
No. So the premise started with, I hate headlining. That's the premise. I hate headlining. Doing an hour of stand-up. I love stand-up comedy. But I hate headlining. I don't like doing an hour of stand-up. It's exhausting. I get tired. I can't remember my jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I do not like to headline.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what is something I can do where I can bring along the funniest people I know, the best, most hilarious comedians I know? We can possibly go on tour together, and I can help them and they can help me. And it's a win-win situation where I'm bringing these diverse voices. Because I don't want, even though it's called Rosie Tran Presents, I don't want to be the Rosie show, Joel. I'm not such an insane narcissist like some of these headliners that I wanted to be the Rosie Tran show 24/7, 365 days.
You don't want to be the whole show.
I don't want to just be me all the time. I'm not that up my own butt.
It was smart of you to put your name. You know, I had Marty Krofft on the show. Sid and Marty Krofft's, you know, they're producers, right? And he said that Walt Disney told him, put your name above the show, above the title of the show.
Joel Marshall's Lunch Therapy?
That's why it's called Joel Marshall's Lunch Therapy. I literally changed it right after he said this. But you did this also with your show. So it's like, it's not a narcissistic thing to do, but it actually just gives you some kind of ownership and also some visibility that people can.
Well, it's my branding. The brand is Rosie Tran Presents. You know, it's my show. It's my best friends in comedy. It's my comics that I pick out. And that's actually an interesting thing, because since I've had my show, I've had, you know, every show I do, I have comics come up to me. Oh, I want to do your Amazon show. Can you put me on your Amazon show? I want to be on your Amazon show. And
I'm sure there's tons of people saying that to you.
And
yeah,
here's the thing. It's not that some of these people aren't funny, but they don't fit the show. Like, you know, like, so the first 2 episodes are Rosie Tran's Bad Asians. Yeah. So I want to put on people that are Asian American and breaking stereotypes. And that's a limited number of people, you know, and I have certain episodes. They're very, it's a certain episode. Like, I'm not just going to put, you know, if it's like Rosie Tran Presents Latino Comedy, I'm just going to put some white guy on there because he's like, oh, I'm funny. Put me on your show.
Yeah. And it's only 2 comics. I mean, each time it's only 2 comics.
You know, so I'm very protective of my show and my brand. And I think, and I get a little bit sad actually when comics ask me, well, how can I get on your show? How can I get on your Amazon show?
Yeah.
Because I kind of like, I finally understood casting when I did that, because I have been an actress for years, and, you know, sometimes I would get a call back, but I wouldn't get a gig. And I would say, well, why didn't I get it? You know, why didn't I get it? I should have gotten this gig. I did a good job. I was a good actress. And I think I finally understand casting. It's like sometimes you're just not right for something. It doesn't mean you're not talented.
It's not even a personal thing at all.
It's not even personal. I have best friends in stand-up that I've known for 20 years that I haven't put on my show because they don't fit any of the episodes.
Of course.
They're not diverse enough. They don't fit the brand.
Or like you've got a particular thing that you're going to do with the next, whatever the next show is, and they don't fit.
They don't fit.
Also, you interview the person beforehand, which I think is super interesting. I'm going to show a clip.
Yeah.
I'm going to show the trailer. Okay.
How was your journey from being a Playboy model, living in Russia, to being in the United States?
Oh my goodness, there's so much to unpack in this one question there.
Like flatline. They all saw it.
Also, like with my no filter, like I say what's on my mind, and I don't care if I hurt people's feelings. 3 years ago, I lost my best friend to cancer, and my girlfriend went to comfort me. She was like, "Keith, I'm so sorry about Norm." I was like, "Oh, why couldn't it have been you?" So I lost a best friend and a girlfriend.
So that is super cool. I think maybe that deserves some applause.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great show. I watched the one with Keith, and he was talking about his Asperger's and how it works with his comedy and how it actually is a superpower for him. And it's a really great format to see an interview with a comedian and then see them do their comedy. Has that been done before?
I don't know, probably.
I don't know. I mean, I have not seen that before, really.
I just wanted to show, because sometimes comedians are so different. Their stage persona is so different than who they are as a person.
I find that a lot.
Or sometimes their backstory is so different than their material that I just wanted to show that, behind the music, right? Behind the story, behind the joke.
I love that you had Sally Mullins on the show. She's so wonderful.
I love Sally. She should be a superstar, and I don't know why the industry hasn't woken up to her yet.
Yeah, she's still an up and coming comedian, but she's gonna be huge.
So I just wanted to feature people that resonated with me, and I don't know. It's just so shocking. Like, I don't mind people asking me to be considered for the show, but a lot of people actually are really rude and entitled and kind of mean.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, you should put me on your show. I'm like, I don't know you.
I've heard that I've seen that myself. I get that in, direct messages on Instagram sometimes, where people are just like aggressively
they're very aggressive
trying to get on the show. And I'm like, well, and for me, like this show, I love to have suggestions for guests, but I also have to get engaged with that person. I have to have like a passion for their work.
But also, it's Joel Marshall's lunch therapy. It's Joel Marshall's lunch therapy. So you can do whatever you want. It's your show.
Right.
And I'm shocked by the entitlement. I had someone, send me a very nasty message telling me, too bad you didn't put me on your show. I was like, oh, okay.
Too bad for you. You didn't put me on your show. Yeah, I don't think, and that must be what it's like to be a casting director.
It's just it's very bizarre. A comedian came up to me and he said, "Congratulations on your show. I watched the whole series. I'm really proud of you." And I was like, wow, that was really sweet. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't say, put me on your show. And I would almost rather put him on the show than someone that came up and said, well, you need to put me on your show.
Yeah.
Because he supported me. He's actually a really funny comedian. And he was just there, to be part of the team and be supportive. So I would rather help someone like that than someone that comes up to me aggressively, yelling at me to feature them on the show.
Also, when you're putting together a show, even like a live show, like you were talking about, you want the comedians to complement each other.
Yes.
You don't want to just throw in a comedian that is like not in the same world as the other comedians, unless you want some kind of shock value or something like that. But generally, you craft a show. I try to, when I do them, is I try to craft the show around the people. And I don't do a show until I feel like, oh, this is a great set of comedians together.
Yeah. And Joel, something that is really, really important too, that a lot of people don't understand is sometimes someone can be the funniest comedian in the room
Mhm.
and be a total jerk that nobody wants to work with.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Jose
So,
says
yeah.
you should put me in your show. I have no talent and I am as funny as a wet rock, but I'm cute. There we go. See that? I don't know. That's pretty good salesmanship, actually. You bring up a really good point, though, because comedians, actors, you're an actor as well.
Yes.
You have to somehow make people aware that you exist and aware of your talent. But there's a fine line between being too pushy and but also representing yourself and branding yourself, etc. How have you? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's easy. Just say, congratulations on your show. I'm really proud of you. I'd love to be considered in the future. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the way, there should be no demand, but personalities are so important, Joel. I went on 3 USO tours, and I'm not going to say which one because then you can Google it and figure out which one. But on one of the tours, there was infighting the entire time between 2 of the comedians. It was awful.
Really?
Horrible. We were being paid a really great amount of money. Had great live audiences that loved to see us. They were coming up, lining up for autographs for the show. We were supporting the U.S. military. We were, being well paid. We got to see the world, and there was rampant infighting.
So weird. I find most of the time comedians, at least in my world, are pretty darn supportive. I have been on some tours where there was always one weird one. You know what I mean? Like a weird one. And you're like, what is up with that person? Do they not understand what's going on here?
So the infighting, it was 2 comedians that, hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
It was 2 comedians that, so the way that we did it in this one USO tour was there was no headliner. We would all switch.
Yeah.
And it was an ego thing. It was the 2 comedians that thought they were funnier than everyone else. And they were constantly trying to one up each other. And, oh, you weren't that funny. Oh, I was funnier than you. And it was really bad, Joel. It was a test. It was a war of the small wieners, I think.
Oh my God. Now tell us about this. Okay. Because how did you get involved in a USO tour and what was that like besides the infighting going on? What is it like entertaining the troops? How do you connect with them? What's that audience like?
Yeah. So the first USO tour I went, I was performing at a bar gig, actually, believe it or not, in the Inland Empire.
Really?
And the military recruiter saw me. He just happened to be at the bar drinking or whatever. And he saw me and he approached me through Facebook. And he said, hey, I was at this bar gig of yours, in like Riverside or something. And I saw you and I booked these military tours. Would you want to do it? And I said, absolutely. And I was practicing negotiation. And so what that means is comedians would get paid a certain amount for gigs, right? And at that time I was a no name and I wanted to practice my negotiation. So he offered me a certain price and I was practicing negotiating my worth. So I asked for a higher price and he actually denied me. He said, that's out of our budget. Can you do a lower price? And I said, no, I can't. And I could have, Joel, but I wanted to hold my value.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was so hard for me. And he said, I'm so sorry. That's not in our budget. Good luck.
Yeah.
And that was so hard for me, Joel. That was really hard for me.
Well,
because
that's something you have to learn though. As somebody who wants to get paid at doing comedy, you have to do that. You have no choice but to do that.
And it was so hard for me to walk away from that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I held my value because 6 months later he came back to me.
Yeah. And
he said, I asked her, he goes, I thought that was a ridiculous amount, which it wasn't a ridiculous amount. It was like a normal amount.
Yeah.
But sure. He's like, I thought that was a ridiculous amount, but I asked around about you and a bunch of comedians said you were really funny. And I didn't have a budget for that show, but I have another show in Arizona at this base, and they have a bigger budget. And would you like to do it? So it paid off.
Yeah.
My gamble on myself paid off. So I went to Arizona and I did the show, and I did a really, really good job. And I guess the regional recruiter for the USO tours was there, and he saw me, and he invited me to do a tour in Iraq and Kuwait. We were actually supposed to go to Afghanistan, but the fighting was really bad back then. And so originally we were going to Afghanistan, and then they said, we're going to reroute you guys to Iraq because it's really bad right now.
Were you scared?
I was scared. And I just have to say, for any comedians who go, you should be scared, because when you see these USO tours with like Dave Attell and Louis C.K., they go to the nice bases. But when you're an unknown comedian, they send you to the scary bases in the middle of nowhere. You can hear gunshots in the background.
Stand-up comedy is scary enough without being bombed while you're doing it.
And it is really scary. You go to these remote bases, but the trade-off is the military personnel are so thankful. They're like, no one ever comes out here to entertain us. No one ever comes out here to see us. We're like, in the middle of the desert, in the Iraqi desert, doing God knows what for the US government. Delete. And it's extremely rewarding. I didn't feel like I was making a difference at all. I mean, the soldiers were really sweet, and they, would have me sign autographs and take pictures with me. But I was actually performing at the comedy club at Temecula, Pachanga Casino, a couple of years later, and a soldier came up to me and he said, "Hey, I'm retired military. I just wanted to thank you. I heard you perform for the troops." I said, "Yeah." I'm going to cry, Joel. And he said, "I never saw you perform, but I just want to thank all the comedians who have come and performed, because I would have committed suicide if it wasn't for you guys." I was out on mission, and it was so hard mentally and emotionally. And I just kept thinking about the comedy show. And that's what kept me alive. Otherwise I would have shot myself in the face. And I was like, wow, maybe I do make a difference. So
yeah. That's a beautiful
I didn't think I was going to
story.
start sobbing on your podcast, but
Thanks for sharing that with us. That's really incredible. I love that. Just goes to show you the purpose of comedy, that it can actually have a profound effect on people.
Profound effect. My
And
dick
also
jokes saved someone's life, possibly.
Was it hard for you to connect to people that are in the military? Like, you've never been in the military or anything. I mean, obviously you connected.
Yeah.
Did you work on particular material, or did you just do what you do?
I was really scared because I was going on these really remote bases. I went to one base. So I'll tell you this story really quickly, which I swear to God is related to your question, but it's a little bit of a roundabout story.
Oh.
So I went to this one base, and I got on base. So they would have a briefing. So we had, before we would go on base, right? So we would meet with the officers. They would say, thank you so much for coming out here. They would tell us about the comedy show. They would tell us what they're doing on the base. And they assigned me personal security. And they said, 2 female soldiers have been raped on base this week. Mm. And it's about 98% men who have been deployed here. And many of them have not seen a woman in, however long. And here's your guard. So it was a female military soldier personnel who was guarding me. And she said, she gave me a rape whistle. I'm laughing because I feel like that would not be effective, but she gave me a rape whistle, and she said that she carries a rape whistle and a knife. Mm. So that was a little scary.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting a bodyguard. I'm getting, warned that there's been 2 female soldiers raped on base this week. That's a little scary, Joel.
That week. Jeez.
That week. And then there was another soldier standing near me, and I had said I was a little nervous. I said, I'm a little nervous, because of what I was told in briefing. And there was another female soldier nearby who was fully dressed. She had on exercise clothes, but she was fully dressed, completely dressed. She wasn't wearing a slutty outfit. She wasn't sexually dressed at all. And the soldier muttered under his breath, he goes, well, with the way the women around here dress, who can be surprised that that would happen? So basically he was saying that, you know, he looked at this female soldier and said, you know, he was basically implying that she was dressed provocatively and she asked for it. And she was like totally covered from head to toe. I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And so I immediately got chills on my arm. So I was scared. I will have to say that the majority of the soldiers that I met were awesome and amazing guys and sweethearts, and that they related to my material, and were, you know, laughed and were super respectful. But that's like really scary, Joel.
That is really scary. And it's one of the truths that you have to, we have to face, that women are being raped in the military. It's a huge issue. And there's movies about it, but it's not enough. It's not known widely enough, I don't think, or...
It was said so casually. Like he was like, oh, there was 2 women raped on base this week. You know, here's your bodyguard. Be careful. I was like, what? You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that story, though, because it's very important, too.
It is. And we're getting really deep on lunch therapy.
I love it. We're really hitting the therapy today.
We're really hitting the therapy part, which I did not expect.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your ideas for the future, because you have like amazing ideas, and you act upon them. You did a pilot, you did your own Amazon show, you tour the country, you did the USO shows. What's next?
So I'm trying to take Rosie Tran Presents on tour. I would love for the rest of America to see these amazing, diverse voices, and just to share. You know, I have 2 episodes dedicated specifically to women, the Wicked Women tour. I have, you know, an international featuring immigrants and diverse voices. So I just want, I am proud to be an American. I know America is like super crazy right now, but I'm proud to be an American, and I want to bring America back to what it was in the 90s. I wouldn't make America great again, but a different way.
Different way.
When we were less divisive and people had less extreme ideologies, and just show that we're all like so similar, right? Like all these diverse. If you watch the interviews in Rosie Tran Presents, everyone is so different, but we're all like the same.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. I think it's time to dance. I think we got to dance this thing.
All right, I'm ready to dance off all the tears.
Dance off all the tears. Thanks for sharing so much of your life today. It's really a gift for all of us. And thanks for being so open and honest, which is basically what you have to do in comedy as well.
Yeah, and thanks for letting me be funny and sad.
It's perfect. That's what we do around here.
And meditate.
Laughter, and we also do therapy. All right.
Yes, lunch therapy. True therapy.
True therapy. All right.
I'm ready to dance. I'm ready, Joel.
Dance time. This is cool. This is Margaret Cotton. Margaret Cotton doing an Elvis Costello song. It's all her, too.
When you don't really need it, pump it up until you can
lady's amazing.
You wanna torture her, you wanna talk to her, all the things you bought for her, putting up your temperature. Pump it up until you can feel it. Pump it up when you don't really need it. Out in a fashion show, down in a bar.
All right, thanks everybody for being here today. Thanks, Rosie. This has been a terrific conversation. Send it out to your friends. We'll see you all next week for more Lunch Therapy.